This is the clear-cut #1 cigar for me this year. What's going on, Creekside? Dave here. I'm real excited because today I am letting you know my top 5 cigars of 2024. So every year I love to put together a top 5, whether there's people that care about it or don't, of what my favorite cigars I smoked in the past year was. These aren't all new releases, and they're not all not new releases. They're just the 5 cigars that I have gone back to over and over again that in some way, shape, or form stood out to me from all the rest of the cigars that I smoked this year. I'm also gonna have this top 5 available here at Creekside all this week, so you can come in and buy the full bag of them. You might like them, you might hate them. I'm just letting you know I love them. All right, let's get into this thing. Number 5, cigar of the year, for moi, from our friends at Aganorsa, the Arsenio in Lonsdale. So I had this cigar in all 3 sizes, Toro, Robusto, and Lonsdale. And when I smoked it in this size, it changed everything for me. I really enjoyed it in the Toro and Robusto, but it really amped up the flavor in this smaller format with the smaller ring gauge. Rich and complex, sweet and spicy on the retrohale, and it had that signature Aganorsa flavor profile. Your caramel and chocolate mixed with loads of baking spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. It really came through and had nice changes throughout a cigar. Something I look for when I'm putting this together is what cigar was interesting to smoke the whole time, right? Like, does it change as you progress through the cigar? This one did a great job at that. Shout out to the team over there. All right, number 4, from Miami, Florida, weighing in at 5 inches by 46 millimeters, the Don Ronaldo by Warp Cigars. Don Ronaldo is a cigar that's been around for a long time, since really the early days of Warped, made at the El Titan de Bronze factory in Miami, a factory that holds a special place in my heart. This cigar is the definition of Cubanesque. It is straight medium bodied. At some points it goes to medium plus. It's complex, it's savory, it's sweet. It's got some of that like umami vibes to it. The cup of coffee is a go-to. The size is perfect for it. The profile is perfect for it. It's just a classic. This cigar with a cup of coffee is killer. It's my go-to if somebody's asking me for a cigar and coffee pairing. Size of it, the profile, it complements it. It has enough complexity and heaviness to stand up to a darker roast or an espresso coffee, but it also doesn't get overshadowed. Beautiful cigar coming in at number 4. The halfway point, the number 3 cigar of the year for me. I told y'all earlier this year, Tat is back. I mean, look at the size. You guys had to know that when I saw this cigar for the first time, I already knew it was in the top 5. Love the size, came wrapped in gold, made in Miami at their factory there. And I can't say enough good things about the cigar. Heavier than the first 2 that I just talked about, more complex, rich, equally sweet and spicy, which really has tended to be a theme for me this year. I like the balance of both. And it's a hearty Nicaraguan blend with that Pete Johnson flair on it, and using the goods from the My Father tobacco library. Loving this cigar. 2 more, people. Quick pause here to talk about the new Creekside Bic lighters. If you know, you know. When they're gone, they're gone. We're gonna do a bunch of these. Different styles, different designs. Bic life. All right, back to the programming here. Number 2 cigar of the year for me, from Aladino Cigars, the Corojo Reserva in Robusto. This is the only Honduran Puro on this list, and one of the first Honduran Puros I ever smoked. I lit this thing up, and it was one of those times where you smoke something and you're like, this is different than anything else that I've smoked before. It's rich, it's complex, it has transitions, but it had this like roasted peanut, brittle quality to it. It wasn't overly spicy, but it had some strength that translated to like more of a full flavor, kind of oily smoking experience. For a Honduran Puro, you know, Aladino they're the kings of it, right? They're not farm to table, but farm to humidor, really. They're growing their own tobacco, they're harvesting their own tobacco, they roll their own cigars, and then they ship out to retailers across the world. I was so impressed by this cigar. If you've never smoked anything from Aladino, or you're curious about smoking more Honduran cigars, if you smoke Nicaraguan or Dominican cigars, come give this one a try. You're not gonna be disappointed. All right, it's time. It's time for the number 1 cigar of the year, for me at least. And I would venture to say a lot of other people will agree with me. Coming in from our friends at Crowned Heads, I'm repping today. This was the teaser the whole time. You guys should have known what was coming. The Las Calaveras Decimo. This was their 10-year anniversary limited edition cigar for the Las Calaveras line that they release every year. 6x52 Toro, made at the My Father factory. This is the biggest cigar on my list and one of the largest cigars that I've actually enjoyed in recent memory. And let me tell you something, this is the clear-cut #1 cigar for me this year. I lit this thing up for the first time and I felt like I was smoking and I mean this in a good way, like a bouquet of flowers. It was fruity, it was floral, then it transitioned to some spice and oak, and then there's this like roasted coffee nutmeg note coming in, and then it gets sweet, and then it's amazing. It's complex, it changed about every inch. I can't recommend this cigar enough. I've enjoyed smoking this cigar time and time again. Clear-cut #1 cigar of the year. Thank you to John Huber and the rest of the crew over at Crown Heads, and a shout out to our boy Jake Sanders for keeping us stocked and always coming down for a good time here at Creekside. Las Calaveras Decimo. If you haven't had it, find it. We've got a few boxes left here. When we run out, go anywhere and find it. Seriously, you don't want to miss out on this cigar. All right, this concludes my top 5. I hope you all have enjoyed. I hope some of you are triggered by some of them and you let me know what you didn't like about my top 5. That's fine, but just give them a try. We'll have these 5 packs up at the front, though you're gonna wanna come quickly and give them a try. Thank you guys for all the support this year, and you'll be seeing a couple more top 5s from the guys here at Creekside. Until next time, grab a Bic and smoke in good company. Peace.